Yeah, Molly, Officer Talley obviously had a big impact on friends and family. They've been sharing stories with us all week. And he also had an impression on people who had brief encounters with him as a law enforcement officer. One of those people is Charlie Taylor, and Charlie's been kind enough to join us live here this morning in Boulder outside the King Soopers where that shooting happened. And Charlie, we're appropriately socially distanced here. Just share with us what happened in your case.
So my oldest son was having some behavioral issues at school, and he moved to a new school. And on his first day, there was a button by the teacher's desk that he pushed multiple times. I got a phone call to come pick him up. They explained to me that button was for in the event of an active shooter or an emergency at the school, and it silently calls the police. I was confused about how to discipline that situation. And so I went to the Boulder Police Department and asked if I could speak to an officer to kind of scare him straight type of a situation. The officer came out, Officer Talley, and we went into an interrogation room in the back of the Boulder Police Department, and he explained to my son the consequences of what can happen in a situation like that. When my son was walking out, he stopped me and he told me, hey, between me and you, I'm not a police officer right now. We're just two dads having a conversation. He said, your only mistake as a father is you're trying to be this child's friend, and he doesn't need a friend right now. He's gonna make plenty of friends. He needs a father. He said, I made the same mistake with my oldest son, and it bit me in the butt, and you don't need to make the same mistake. Just be his father. That's what he needs right now.
What an impact and what an impression. You were saying earlier too that an officer didn't die here on Monday, a hero died.
Correct. I've seen multiple. Every time something like this happens, there's an avenue on social media for people to let out their opinions, and I've seen a lot of opinions on police officers, and I'm not going to dispute that maybe some of those opinions might be true. But again, a police officer was not killed in this King Soopers. A hero was killed in this King Soopers. He didn't have to walk in those doors. You see situations for decades of what happened, and usually it's an outside situation for hours while they're trying to negotiate. And when Officer Talley pulled up, he seen bodies, and he knew there was no negotiation. And he went in, and he didn't have to do that. He wasn't the only officer. There was multiple officers. There was a still image of him walking in that door, and there was other officers. He was a hero.
And because of that, you felt compelled to post on social media, right?
Yes.
Because you wanted to share the story that this guy made an impact on you.
He did, and I've seen other stories. He made an impact on people. I've read about him too. He had a very good job in IT, and he went to college and got a master's degree to have a career. And at 40 years old, a friend of his was killed, and he became a police officer at 40 years old and gambled his job because who's going to hire somebody at 40 years old graduating police academy? And he did that without knowing he was going to have a job. Like he didn't become a police officer for any other reason than to make an impact in the world.
Yeah.
And he's a hero.
Yeah. Way to go, Charlie. Hey, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Charlie,
guys.
by the way, drove over from Longmont. Charlie used to live in this neighborhood. This was his King Soopers, and then he moved about a year ago to Longmont. Drove over this morning just to share that story with us. So we really appreciate that. Thanks. And Officer Talley's funeral, again, will be next Tuesday up in the metro area. I'm Russell Haythorne in Boulder. Back to you guys.